Message.
What's going on? What's going on? Good morning. Good morning. I'm gonna be talking about a couple things. I'm gonna be talking about the state of the economy, a little bit about philosophy, nihilism, capitalism. Okay. Probably even throw in a little racism in the mix. Uh, so I just was up. I was watching a YouTube video and I decided to go live. Reason being is got a little stuff on my mind. I I add to the discussion on a higher realm, and I know that I do. I don't really get a lot of credit for that. Uh, it's very interesting as far as social media and YouTube and stuff like that. Uh, it's kind of hard. I do have periods where I do get a lot of support and a lot of engagement. I'm gonna be honest; it's really difficult to deal with the engagement level because you got to read the chat. You got like 20 people chatting in the comment section. You got to keep up with all of that shit. It really is kind of. I ain't gonna lie. Like be careful what you ask for because what I do find some people do, and it is effective. When you do have that level of engagement where you have a whole bunch of people chatting, that's where the super chats come in because whoever comments with a super chat gets highlighted, or certain points get highlighted. I guess I don't know. I think some people do that. I think that's probably more effective because it gets kind of crazy. I remember Kevin Samuels. He ain't highlight no comments. It didn't matter. You give him $1,000, $500. He'll acknowledge certain people, but the chat was moving so fast. Really, it really was no way he really could acknowledge every damn body because it was too or anyone because it was just too many people commenting at the same time. So it was hard to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So I will say it is kind of difficult to be social like that. Like some people are very very social. Some people are antisocial. Some people are very social. Uh, I would say that I am social, but definitely not antisocial. But I'm not a socialite. Like I'm not very social with people like someone is considered a socialite. A socialite is basically someone that's an extrovert. They always trying to go to events, parties, clubs, stuff like that. I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person I'll have a friend that does that and then I'll tag along with him. Like I don't be going to no clubs and shit like that. And it kind of here's another thing as well. I was thinking about this. I was thinking about Neo. I was talking to DJ Kuda on Nightish channel early morning yesterday morning. That was interesting because I actually attempted an exorcism on YouTube. I'm probably the only person on YouTube that probably tried to do an exorcism. But yeah, it gets crazy, man. I get involved in all kind of messed up stuff, and I ain't gonna lie, that does probably mess up my business. You know, people like this dude is crazy as hell, man. I'm not about to let him do my, you know, credit repair. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I don't know what the fuck. I just, that's why people be having different channels and shit. And it's like, man, I be all over the place, man. People like, man, nah, I'm not, I'm good, but they still probably listen. But I don't know. It's weird. The reason why I said the whole social thing is weird is because people on the internet, they kind of act a little similar than people offline. Like they actually uh have cliques and gangs in the cyber world. You got cliques and gangs, like people have certain associations they are associated with. And if you like a person like I was, like, when I was younger, I never was in no street gang. Like my friends, some of my friends were, they went to meetings, they was GDs and Blackstones, and uh I, I was pretty much cool with everybody for the most part. But it was like, it was some people that, kind of had, they, crossed the line and they actually, joined the quote unquote organization. I mean, back then in the 90s, it wasn't, Dalton, Illinois it wasn't so crazy and violent and stuff like that, how it is now. And it definitely was the suburbs. What I found out was, because I came from the city to the suburbs, a lot of those dudes that did join gangs and stuff in the suburbs, the city gangbangers used to come in the suburbs and they would just punk the suburban gang affiliates, or whatever, or not affiliates, but the suburban uh guys that was in their gang. So it's like, imagine join a gang and you get beat up. The reason why you probably join a gang is you trying to be tougher, and trying to get like some protection, and then you join the gang, get beat up. It's like, that's kind of what I'm talking about, man. Like, kind of in a way, like, don't be stupid, man. If you don't get nothing from my channel, I try to avoid being stupid. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of the general synopsis of what I be trying to, kind of put down as far as a message. Don't be stupid. Like, okay, yeah, I admit, I was in the Navy, so yeah, I'm kind of crazy, but at times, but I'm not stupid. I try not to be stupid. At the end of the day, I try to avoid not being stupid. You know, I try to avoid. I don't care if it's 1,000 people doing the same shit. I'm not gonna do it if I know it's stupid. And that's kind of how that is. And that puts me at odds with a lot of people as well, because I don't follow what everybody else does. People will follow and listen to me, and very few will make themselves known, because that's kind of what people do on social media, on the internet. If, like, okay, if you was talking, right, you was giving a speech in public, like, you was giving some type of talk, or uh you was doing some type of presentation, could nobody listen to your presentation without being in the same room? It's no clouds in the real world. you know if you're in a fucking audience of people giving some type of speech, you know who's in the audience. It's no clouds. You're not listening to no, it's no ghosts in the room listening to you, like that. Like, it's an actual a actual person cannot just, be unknown and listen to you. Well, on the internet, they can. That's why the internet, like, some people, I tell people, like I did I did a video on my TikTok. The internet is not real. It isn't. It's not real. It is not what you think. Like a lot of times people take the internet and they mix it in their mind that is real. Like they have to protect their identity on the internet, you know, their internet personification. They're really concerned about it, you know. And it's like, man, at the end of the day, my daily comings and goings in life, nobody even knows where I'm at. No, nobody sees me. Nobody recognizes me on off the internet. They don't know who I am. Just a regular Joe. I look different. You know, I look very, very much different than most people because one, I got a deep widow's peak. I got a widow's peak like Blade. Like I'm like a real world, real reality Blade. I'm a day walker. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, low key, like I'm a cold dude, man. Like, even when my downest days, I remember how raw I am, you know. And the thing is like, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't matter how raw you are though, when it comes to trying to get capital in this country. You either have it or you don't, you know. And the thing is that, yeah, I mean, my daily activities offline is not anywhere near my activities online, you know. And it's like nobody really does. I mean, because the internet is not the quote unquote real world, you know. You turn the internet off, or you close out a live stream. You actually either go do something else. You might go to sleep. You know, you might go make something to eat or go get something to eat. Whatever activities you do once you turn the internet, actually the internet off, or stop live streaming, that's your actual life, and it's totally different than what is on quote unquote social media or on YouTube, and when it comes to just as far as me knowing, okay, yeah, I do have more or less a higher intellect than the average person, because I go out my way to do so. I mean, it's not that difficult. Just got to be tuned in and engage with other people that are of a higher mindset, and read a lot. I mean, I'm talking about a lot. I mean, start like create a book collection. I'm talking like on that level. Like, you should have your own library. You should have your own personal library. You know, a mix of PDF books and actual physical books, and you should read those books. And when you read those books, what happens is you're going to retain certain information, and you're going to know some things that other people don't know instantly by uh, the process of you reading something and retaining that information. Now, you might not have 100% attainment. You might retain like a percentage, but you'll know more than the average person, because 9 times out of 10, unless the book is really, really popular, someone else has not read the book that you read. And the thing is a lot of times people get lost in translation, because you got to understand, once you go that route of trying to be a quote unquote higher mind, you're gonna start to lose people. people will get lost because most people are basically lower minded. There's whole communities. This is what I kind of thought about. From time and time again, there's actual communities that when it comes to, no, that's not the right one. uh the octane scales, there's entire communities that are like 85 octane. For example, Gary, Indiana is pretty much an 85 octane city. The entire city is blue collar, regular Joes. Finished high school, might have went to college a little bit, or no college, barely got out of high school. A steel mill city. A working class, blue collar, middle class, working class city. It's not a lot of people. Like Gary, Indiana was built off of the steel mill industry. That's why it's called Gary. The actual name Gary is from the guy that basically from US Steel created the steel industry in Gary, Indiana. And basically the actual city was built and based around the steel mill. It was based around people just basically working at the steel mill, coming home, raising families. Maybe their family is working at the steel mill. That's what it was, started from. And it's pretty much baked into the baked into the soil. It's still steel mills. It's not that many as it used to be. But yeah, it's no need to really, I guess, in a sense, be of a higher mindset. It's no your mindset that's needed for that to work in that city or in this city is to be able to wake up, go to sleep, and go to work at the steel mill, deal with all of the hardships working at the steel mill, which is very, I heard some stories about the steel mill. It's very, very tough to work at the steel mill. I've never worked in the steel mill. I've never even been inside the fucking any steel mill, but I could just imagine, working. I've worked blue collar jobs before, and blue collar jobs just it's more labor intensive. You're using more labor than actual mental. You're using physical actual labor more or less than actual mental labor. Because you got two different types. You got physical labor and mental labor. So with IT, for example, and that's kind of when I kind of transitioned from being like blue collar, working like security jobs, working uh UPS, um different jobs that primarily was either low wage or blue collar in some sense or sort. Basically, when you go into IT, you're using mental labor. You're using more of your mind. It's a mix of mental and physical labor, but more or less of mental actual work than physical work. So it's not needed to be, you don't need to know Nietzsche, you don't need to know Socrates, Plato, you don't need to know even anything about the economy or anything like that. You just need to know, okay, get up, work, come home, take care of the kids, or eat dinner, uh, maybe, have some type of enjoyment, pleasure, whatever, then go back to work. That's all is needed. And you got the entire city is primarily that's the actual type of mentality. And I'm not saying that's I'm not my tone in my discussion is not nothing saying it's nothing, bad about that. I'm not saying I'm not saying anything about that as it being bad or good. Okay. It's just kind of one of those things where it is what it is. It's baked into the cake of the foundation of the city. Being a worker, being, kind of either like this city is primarily 85 octane and 87 octane. Very general. You got a lot of 85 octane because it was a breakdown, somewhere along the line from the 70s to now in Gary where it got really ghetto. People, were trying to deal with all kinds of stuff with poverty and stuff like that. Um, you did have elements of that, probably throughout Gary, because Indiana itself, I'm gonna just say, Indiana is just it's not it's people don't make as much as Illinois. It's not like a lot of money in Indiana like that. So people gotta survive on a lot less in Indiana, and they're used to it because it's not a lot of money in Indiana like that. You see it like it's a lot more like people struggling in Indiana, and it's not just black people. It's like everybody, just trying because Indiana don't have money like that. It's underdeveloped. It's primarily rural areas, some suburbs. They're building up suburbs because it's a population boom. A lot of people moved out of different cities, primarily Illinois, moved to Indiana. So it hasn't caught up yet. But Indiana ain't hitting on anything like that, like as far as money, like Illinois has. Because Illinois has primarily Chicago. Chicago is one of the biggest capitalist centers in America. You know, um, all of the violence and stuff that you hear on the media, that's propaganda. That's propaganda primarily, and also it's just isolated parts of Chicago, mainly South and West Side, where African Americans are, that are primarily dealing with poverty, crime, violence. Like I call it the three horsemen of financial apocalypse. Unemployment, violence, or crime, uh, uh, um, and poverty. So a lot of that, a lot of those areas in Chicago, South Side, and West Side, where African Americans are, that's where a lot of the violence is. That's where the news stories and all of that type of stuff. Now, you know, Chicago itself, they got the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. They got a lot of corporate headquarters downtown. They have O'Hare, one of the biggest airports in the country. Midway, which is a local secondary airport. You got industries, lots of industries. You got big, big name industries headquarters here. McDonald's. You got Boeing. You got uh, all kinds. You got Google. Everything is here as far as in Chicago. And then you have restaurants, a lot of well-known, uh, basically five-star restaurants, Michelin rated restaurants in Chicago, downtown. People come to Chicago just to eat, just like kind of similar to New York, but different. because New York does have a lot more attractions, and it's, you know, uh, it has like an entertainment epicenter, with Broadway and actually, TV and film, and theater, you know, like California. So yeah, it's really big as far as the actual ality of Chicago. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of capital flowing, right? It's the uh third largest capital center of the United States. You got New York, it's number one, California, number two, third is Chicago. People come here from all across the country to work here, make money, you know, and travel and live life and all of that type of stuff. Now, I say all of that to say again, but going back to Gary, okay, about 15 minutes from the south side of Chicago. That's where Gary is. Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana is primarily a 85, 87 octane type of city. Okay. I don't really fit in with these people. I'm here for a mission. I'm here to do what I got to do and then move on. I mean, that's that. Does it suck? Yeah, it's times it sucks because I know I don't really fit in. And I'm okay with that. I accept that. That's why I don't go to no clubs and all that. Cause I mean, I don't go to clubs either way because I just, one of the things I wanted to talk about is that what the reason I mentioned Neo and the Matrix and all of that earlier, and I was talking to DJ Kuda on Nightish's live stream. Uh, it was interesting because I think Nightish is smart. I don't think he's dumb, but is you could tell there's a difference of understanding, and that's okay. I'm not saying that everybody is like me that's glued into research, you know, hours and hours throughout the day. Most people don't do that. And I know that, I understand that. And the thing is that a lot of times I do collide with other people because, everybody wants to come off like, big man or the big boss, that knows everything, and they don't want to be outshined a lot of times, and you get a lot of that uh with that interaction. You get that offline and online. People don't want to be outshined. You know, on the internet, it's different because people just talking. So it's not like, in public, if you overtalk someone, it's very you could very very much notice it, and it's kind of awkward. Like it's like more noticeable in person when you overtalk someone. It's like it's kind of weird if someone overtalks you in person. You like, what the fuck are you? You know, you could kind of like deal with it a lot better, and it's kind of a lot weirder in person if you get what I'm saying. So that's what people try to do. They just try to overtalk you. So it's just like, it's an attempt, to have dialogue. But a lot of times in my attempts of dialogue, it becomes um, disillusion or a big fail. I'm not gonna say that was a big fail, but it's like, you wonder why people stay in the chat. You know what I'm saying? It's just, that's kind of why. But the thing is that yeah, it's most people are 87 octanes, according to BGS it more, because I'm not, when I mention something, I'm gonna always mention who, pretty much kind of uh, spearheaded that whole um, philosophy or ideology. And it's like, yeah, it's most people are 85s and 87s. Okay, that's just how that is. Most people, that's just how it is. You got a society where most people are just general. They you kind of almost programmed or brainwashed to be basic. Okay, it's like visual basic. It's like, visual basic is it's a old language for Microsoft. We got Visual Studio, and part of Visual Studio was Visual Basic. It's an actual language, program language, VB. Okay, most people are basic. That's just how it is. Like, some people are below basic. 85 octanes. A basic 87 octane person is basically, you know someone that is below average. Like, they didn't finish high school, possibly may or may not finish high school. Usually they come from a situation where their parents were below average themselves. They might even been had came from a broken home where they were raised by someone else or their grandparents. They usually it's usually associated with the lower socioeconomic uh life. And you see a lot of that. You see even older people. You see older people stressed out. A lot of people are stressed out right now, right? A lot of stress, you know because it's a lot everything is pretty much expensive, and it's a lot of bills that's people got to pay. They're stressed out. The average person is very, very, very stressed out. And it's a lot of pressures in the world. It's a lot of stuff going on. I heard something about COVID, a strain of COVID-19 popping up. It's flu season, cold season. The actual weather is changing. People are This is the season where your gas bill goes up. If you got a home and you got a furnace and all of that, your gas, you going to have to come up out your pocket for, some extra coins, some extra hundreds, to pay that gas bill. That. And it's coming. You're trying to, keep up with that. And yeah, it's a lot of stress. And I'm not and here's the thing. From what I know, from what I've researched, it's not getting better. It's not going to get better. Unfortunately, I just want to let you know that. I don't want you to, you know, be disillusioned. I want you to understand that one of the things that is going on is you got people that are the media is not telling you what is actually going on because they don't want you afraid. They don't want you to panic. Well, the car industry is absolutely in disarray. The automotive industry right now is fucked, to put it in just general terms. The reason why it's fucked is because basically the car prices were really, really high. They rode that wave. They rode that wave for as long as they could. And they're going to have to discount those cars And people don't have money to buy cars as it is. They don't have the money to buy cars. Even if they wanted a car, they don't have the money to buy cars. So from the used car market to the new car market, obviously the new car market is going to get hit the hardest because in order to have jobs, automotive jobs, you need to be able to sell new cars. People work at Ford, GM, Chrysler, all of that, all of the big major auto manufacturers. They they work because people are buying cars. Well, if the car market is pretty much getting cooked, Nissan laid off I think like 50,000 workers or 40,000 workers. They're talking about they're about to have to file bankruptcy possibly. And this is Nissan. This is the Japanese. This is Kaizen, you know, Konnichiwa, Simise. Like these people don't usually have any problems with running businesses and stuff like that. They're talking about they're gonna have to possibly fold, and file bankruptcy and restructure. Those are what is called signs. The signs of, things is not really what you think they are. Things are not good, or things are not on the up and up. And, the media is not saying anything about it. And those signs, are there for a reason. Those actual events tell you what's actually kind of somewhat going on is being swept under the rug. You got used cars that's, also, people not buying used cars because they overpriced. Yeah, it's going down. And, repos is through the roof. Last time I checked on it, it's been a while since I checked on repos. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that people are also getting evicted from apartments. I heard reports that basically that people are getting foreclosed on. Airbnb is fizzling out a little bit as far as, kind of how, remember when Turo was popping. Turo was popping pretty hard. It was people were making a lot of money renting their car out with Turo. They were saying, it's kind of like the cat's meow, and then it fizzled out. Well, that's from what I'm hearing. That's what's going on with Airbnb. Now, I haven't delved in any research. I have not, like, really, really put my lenses on it. But these are just reports as far as what I see. I follow a lot of the construction real estate investment loop. I'm in that loop. So I see things in that loop, and then I report back, here, and I tell you what I see. So when I'm saying that I'm seeing reports as far as foreclosure filings and basically, what area was that where it was, I think, yeah, Florida. I was seeing reports in Florida that it was a lot of foreclosure filings. Just late last night, saw an article about Dallas Dallas homes, brand new homes, been on the market since the summer, no sales. No one is buying these new homes in this one particular subdivision for whatever reason. These are all what is called signs. Okay. And these signs are important because it's like a puzzle It's like one piece of a puzzle putting things together, right? Like to kind of sort out, okay, something ain't right here. Even though it's not any media reports or news reports on things, I'm seeing this piece of this puzzle that it's something ain't right here. And that's kind of what I'm saying, okay, with this whole thing. But as things go, yeah, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of stress. People are very, very stressed out. People are very, very stressed out. You got to understand, and you tie that into people being very, very independent now, uh kind of staying away from each other on some like mouse utopia type stuff. Like people are, kind of estranged from relationships, so you trying to do everything by yourself. You got a lot of women trying to do everything by themselves. Men are forced to do things by themselves no matter what, because that's just, the nature of being a man. If you don't have anyone, you got to do everything by yourself. Cook your own food, wash your clothes, go out to, order takeout. A lot of men just order takeout a lot. um that's what we do as far as single men. We order a lot of takeout. If you don't you I don't know like how many men know how to cook and not cook. I don't know the figures on that or anything, but you know you even if you cook, you got to wash dishes and all that, and that's not necessarily something you know a lot of men want to do. So yeah, it's a lot of people that are stressed, very, very stressed. And the thing is what I find interesting, and what I don't try to do, and I don't suggest anybody to do. If you are doing it, try to get out of doing it and drop your ego on the floor. Is that trying to deny that you are stressed, trying to deny that you do need help. A lot of what women do is they try to deny everything and try to maybe possibly delve in disillusion. And what's going on is, this is what's going on. Every now and again I forget, but it comes back to it. I did a video on it. I did a video on it on my other channel that was like, 8 years ago or 7 years ago, whatever. It's called Submit or Suffer. And the thing is, when I say submit or suffer, women do understand what I'm saying when I say that. When I say submit or suffer, they know I get their attention, when I say that, because the end of the day, men don't have any choice but to suffer. Okay. We have to deal with the world just as it is. Most of the time, women do not take care of men. Men are taught and are programmed to, basically take care of other people, and also, work and make a living. However hard they got to work, whatever the case may be, that's how that goes. And what it comes down to is, you got women that are trying to be independent, and they're suffering needlessly. Every day I see women suffering needlessly, meaning they don't need to suffer. They're suffering because of their own, like they're suffering because basically they got their head up their ass, basically. And what I mean by they got their head up their ass is, all they have to do is submit, and they're running away from submission, so they're suffering. And you know, that's what goes on. I see it on a day-to-day basis. I see women that look good. I see women that look good, got kids, no kids, suffering, man. I do DoorDash all over Northwest Indiana. I mean, Northwest Indiana is interesting because Northwest Indiana is very similar to Chicago's dating market. Actually, Northwest Indiana, I would say, is worser than Chicago because as far as if you're dating black women, if you're dating black women, it's worser because it's not that many black women in Indiana, and it's not that many black women, even in Northwest Indiana, which is it borders Illinois, and it's like very similar to Chicago, where a woman could be like a mid-grade woman as far as looks, or even below mid, and she can still come up off a dude because it took me a while to realize this, but it was like, damn, this actually is a worse dating market than even Chicago. And then I realized what was going on. It was like, all of these dudes are so thirsty, just like kind of similar to Chicago, is because it's not that many women like that, and it's actually worse than Chicago because there is a lot of women in Chicago, or black women, but it's actually worse because it's not that many black women in Indiana. So these dudes, like, they gotta, if they really want a chick, they gotta get a regular chick or below regular chick or even a fat chick to be with. And it's like, damn, I started to look at it, I was like, wow. It was like, damn, this shit crazy. Like, if you a chick that ain't hitting on nothing, you come to Northwest Indiana, man, you gonna get a dude. He might be broke though, because a lot of people in Indiana don't really got money like that. Like, black people are no exception. He might go upside your head because he probably thirsty. Because he ain't really got no other options. If you leave him, but you gonna get you a man. I'm being comical, but I don't know. I'm being real though a little bit from what I see, because dudes in Indiana, they will beat on a woman. Um, I see that quite. I see that, as far as, I don't see men beating on their women, but I do see that these women get beat on, because I seen a chick that was like, she was gimping. She was basically a gimp, and I think her husband beat her up, or ex-husband. You know, I haven't looked at the domestic abuse rates in Indiana or whatever. Maybe I'll look at it, but yeah, yeah, it's a little different. But all of that aside, yeah, it's like a thing where I also see some of the women, a lot of the women just kind of going through men, because it's a lot of thirsty dudes, and they they gotta get whatever they can get, I guess. And they even by themselves trying to raise all these kids and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you see a lot of women, needlessly suffering. I see it all over. I see it in Chicago as well, suburbs of Chicago. Women suffer needlessly because they they can't cohabitate with men. You got some women that they cannot, they're incapable of cohabitating with a man on a long-term level. They're incapable of it. You got some women that are capable of it, but you got quite a few, and I would say growing women, they're incapable of cohabitation with any man because they're used to being independent. they don't really know anything else. They don't take advice really well. They don't take advice from men, because to a certain extent you got a quite a few uh you got a lot of women that they don't like to listen to men advice from a man, and the advice that they get from women are terrible. So here's the thing when it comes to women and advice, right? About relationships. And this is like something, obviously if you're, this is only for younger women, because I mean if you're older, you either one of those women, or you already know, but younger women probably don't really realize. But this is what you got to ask yourself. This is from a man's perspective as far as women, and it is a very superior perspective, because basically men usually are the ones that are actually laying with women and having sex with women, making babies with women, right? So we know about women, right? Those that have done all of those things or whatever. You got to ask yourself this: a woman giving you advice on relationships, she has basically the pot of gold right right above her feet, and she can't give that shit away. She can't fucking give her pot of gold, which is her pussy, to a man, and have a man herself have a ring on, which is marriage. She can't give that shit away. And she's giving you relationship advice about how to get a man and everything, like, and she don't even have a fucking man. Women like pussy. Men like pussy, right? She can't give the shit away. Men pay, you know how much pussy is? I'll tell you how much pussy is, the value of pussy, quote unquote. I know I'm getting graphic, and I'm going there, but from I've seen the prices of coochie. Okay, I'll just say it like that. At the very least, probably about $80 to $100. Okay, high end, thousands of dollars. That's how much that is. Like, guys is paying that, you know, they're paying that, and they're paying even more than that. They going head over here heels to try to get a woman. They trying to do all kind. You got dudes that's in jail right now because they was trying to keep a woman. They was trying to keep their woman happy. They was trying to keep some in-house coochie in-house, and they in jail for whatever reason, because they failed to do that. And these women cannot keep nor give the shit away, and they're giving you advice. And you got to ask yourself, why did this woman have all of this advice? They got all of these options, and they have no wedding ring, got no man, no husband. When I see one of the things I see in Northwest Indiana as well, because Northwest Indiana itself is the Bible Belt. Okay, a lot of church goers, a lot of people that's in the church. One of the good things about the church, I will say, is um women will find a husband in church. Probably, I would even say, probably find someone that is probably going to stay with them. It's probably going to work out more or less than if they go to the club per se, or they go, what I'm saying, it just kind of works out a little bit better traditionally. As far as traditionally, I don't have to go pull out Chat GPT. I don't have to go to Google and look for some research stats and from some articles, anything. Everybody knows the historical relevance of, you know your grandma, and your grandpa meeting each other in church or whatever. you know Now, the thing is that you'll have the same thing. Like you have women that be married, like they be married. They have a wedding ring, meaning they're married. Women that don't have a wedding ring are losers. You you can't. Okay, I'm gonna tell you like this. Like I mean, it's like having a championship ring, right? You playing sports, you get a ring. If you're a champion, you get a ring. Like the Boston Celtics, they won the NBA championship last year. Actually, Boston the Boston Celtics have the most championships of any NBA team that basically exists from history. They have the most NBA championships. You know, if you don't have a wedding ring, like literally, that means you've never been a champion. I mean, literally, and you got these women out here giving you advice on how to be a champion, and they might know something. I'm not gonna fully dismiss like what they, the advice that they possibly give. They might be giving you some, advice, but you got some women that are giving terrible advice, and you gotta ask, why ain't you married? And a lot of times, people don't want to offend other people, and I'm sure women obviously they don't want to be offensive, but it's like you think to yourself, okay, why are you not married? I never forgot, like I was doing something, I was taking care of some business that I had to take care of, and this lady, I was, she was at the park district. I was working at the park district, and she had a wedding ring on, and I thought she was married. I thought she was married. Like, you know, I literally thought she was married. And I was like, damn, okay. I was kind of saying what I'm saying now. Like, you got a ring going, you ain't got a ring going, man. You's a loser, you know. I was saying I talk just like this when I to other people, like out in public. Like I say I have the same philosophies. I don't keep them hidden. I don't say everything, but I was talking just like that. Like, yeah, if you ain't got no fucking man, you a loser. Like, basically, like I have the same philosophy when it comes to chess. It's the same similar philosophy. If your queen is basically taken, and the other players, the other side of the board, the chess board, whoever you're playing, they have their queen. They have a statistical advantage over you, them having their queen and you don't have your queen. And obviously, the game doesn't even exist without the king. So you're not even playing the game if you ain't got no fucking king. You ain't got no man. So anyways, long story short, she had a wedding ring. I thought she was married. Come to find out, she says, "No, I'm not married. This is just my ring that I bought myself." You got you got people out here perpetrating too that they're married, and they ain't even married. They just got a wedding ring going. Cause see, you got to understand this, right? This woman, she worked at the park district. She was like some type of manager that ran some particular facilities at the park district. Okay. Now, I didn't say where it was, so some for you to actually know who this is would be it would be like you would actually have to it would be amazing if you was able to figure this out, because that means that, like, you would have to really know. It would be a lot of stuff that you would have to know. But the thing is this: you got a lot of people that perpetrate being married because it goes back to kind of class. I don't think I have anything like as far as I need to make some type of class um chart. Yeah, I do have a chart. Yeah, I do have it. Yeah. So, this is, this is kind of like, this is a true middle class, or true class chart, as far as uh far as wealth. But this will do. This will definitely do, as far as what I'm trying to say. So, don't worry about the figures, because the figures are very, very much, it's kind of extreme, but that is accurate, as far as my opinion too. I do agree with that, because I don't think the middle class is like 50,000, but just, you know, typically what people generally say is the middle class is 50,000 or above. Okay. The thing is that that's what you're taught in college, and that's what they teach people. But this is not according to that. This is kind of more accurate, because middle class, technically, in a sense of this chart here, it wouldn't be middle class, because you got the rich elite that's like off the scales, and it's no way the middle class making $50,000 is anywhere in the middle of that. So this chart, it shows more accurately, it's more realistic. But that's beside all of the point. The point is, people up in the higher classes, like once you go above middle class, it's embarrassing if you're not married. It's embarrassing if you've never been married, even, and you have children and you've never been married. You lived your whole life or whatever, you've never been married, because people associate that to being kind of strange. Okay, being kind of weird. And when you go the lower classes is acceptable. I guess I'll go back to the octane scales. So when you go to the lower classes, it's acceptable, because kind of in the lower classes it's like 85 to 87. But the thing is that when you go higher up the scales, right? Like, let's just say 89 and above, if you're not married, it's kind of it's pretty much embarrassing. So what a lot of times what women do, because with men it's not as embarrassing, because men are, can be playboys and all of that type of stuff. Like, they can be long life bachelors and stuff. It's more acceptable, because men, as long as you're that way and you don't have children, it's kind of acceptable. Even if you have children, it's acceptable. It's like, it's gender biases, gender differences. I do, I'll go along with that. I'll agree with it. But the thing is that just how that is. It's not no gender fairness. We're not all equal. It's pros and cons of being a woman and a man, right? So when it comes down to it, though, when you're not married, once you get up the upper class, like once you go upper middle class, and even middle class, and you're not married, it's kind of embarrassing. When you're in a work setting, a professional setting, and then you're around elites, right? Because the thing with that is, most of the wealthy people are married, and let me see, where's my, yeah, 76% of all millionaires are married. And this is according to 2019. Yep. I keep all my juicy shit. Still paying for StreamYard. That's a whole nother story. But the thing is that, yeah, 76% of all millionaires high net worth individuals are married. So the reason why women get game goofy with the whole wedding ring is they're trying to fit in into that world. Because you got a lot of women that are white collar workers, right? Managers, supervisors, professionals, right? So in order to fit into that world, that's where the little, you know, um kitty, kind of what do they call it? You remember the ring when you was a kid, you put the quarters in and then it comes out in a little clear plastic bubble, the like candy machine that has a ring inside of it. That's where they do, put that on because they look goofy when they're not married, and especially if they look good and everything. It's like, why are you not married? Because I'm a goofy, right? So yeah, it's suffering needlessly, because they cannot submit. And they also, they suffer. They don't like to talk about their suffering. Some of them, they can't help it. They, in order to be genuine, they have to talk about their suffering as well. Not all of them. Some of them, a lot of them suffer in silence, right? Or they come to YouTube and you know try to come up with some type of counterbalance to explain why they're single and all of that type of shit. But the thing is this: a lot of the times the reason why they're single is because they cannot submit. They they don't they have problems submitting to men, or they tried to submit to a man and they submitted to the wrong man and it did not work out. So they say fuck all men, and they have some type of disillusion problem. They didn't go seek therapy or whatever. They didn't have the right person to talk to. You got some women that actually, like I said, this kind of goes back to listening to those women that, like I say, can't give their pussy away if they gave it away for free, right? Uh, they can't get a man to marry them if it saved their life because you know they have all of these issues, right? That they just held on to for most of their life, right? Never got to the bottom of those things, and they sent off young women with all of these crazy ideas and advices, and it just a lot of these women are receptive to those older women, and then they get sent off, and it just like the cycle repeats. But it all goes down to, like I said, them not knowing how to submit because they just also not knowing how to submit because they can't do it because they weren't taught to do it. They didn't see their mama submit to a man. They didn't see their grandma submit to a man. They don't know that concept. That concept is foreign to them. So that's a big part of it as well. So it all goes down to this cabal, right? This big cabal where you have this society that's crumbling. You got all of these women without husbands. They have children, right? They're suffering. They're suffering because they have not submitted, right? They have not, because the thing is this is also what you have, right? And you got a lot of young women that are smart and like that are intelligent, like Natalie the economist on TikTok. They actually frustrating a lot of these women because these older women that are embarrassed by their bullshit, right? Because you got a thing where you got women that are single mothers, right? And the concept of a woman being a single mother I don't care if she's, fine, mid, below mid, whatever. They have the concept that just because they had a child does not mean that they have the same value as if they don't have children. Like they believe because if they have a child, that does not lower their value at all. Just because they have a child, it doesn't make any difference as far as their value. Now, where does this concept come from? It comes from inside their head. It's like a woman, you got to look at women like bees, right? To a certain extent, not all the time, but it's very similar as far as bees because you have women in a beehive and they're buzzing. They're buzzing. That's why they like Beyonce. A lot of women like Beyonce. A lot of black women like Beyonce, right? They in this beehive just a buzzing away, right? And that buzzing is them all feeding off of each other information to say the same thing and think the same way. It's the bzzz, like that is them reverberating the same information to each other, the same delusional thoughts to each other, to believe whatever, you know, the buzzing is. And the buzzing is, yeah, you're still valuable. You're still, the same chick, if not even better, after you have the child. Now, here's the deal, right? On a conceptual level, I get it. I'm a single quote unquote dad myself as far as, I have children and I'm not married at the moment, okay? But here's the deal, right? You had your children, let's just say 10 years ago, you had your children, right? And you're dumb as fuck 10 years ago or 12 years ago, 11 years ago. You're a dumber then than you are now. You got a little bit more sense, after, your children are 10 or 11 years old. You're smarter then, you got more money, you got a better car. You were living in an apartment, now you got a mortgage and a house in a nice side of town. You're more probably maybe even more educated. You got a better job, you got a better, you working remote. Before you was a cashier at Target, now you working remote for a Fortune 500 company. You think in your mind you're better, right? You're better than you were 12 years ago. Just because you have children, you're you're just the same, if not even better, because that's what you believe, that's what you've been um told by the other bees in the beehive, right? Well, I get that philosophy, I get that mindset, but it's not true. And the reason why it's not true is it's very similar to a lot of other things and a lot of other philosophies, but what it is this: you made a dumb decision 12 years ago by picking the wrong dude, or whatever mishaps you made. You're supposed to stick with that one dude, and you didn't. And that is what it is. That's how that was supposed to work, but it didn't work out that way. Now, moving on, you, like I say, you've came up, you've had a good life. Prior to you having children, you got smarter, you grew some brain cells, and you got your children a little bit older. Now you're not the same as a woman with no children as far as value, even if you believe that that's not the same case. um Theoretically, you might be smarter, you might be stronger, even you might even be have more money, more resources. That doesn't necessarily make the situation better. uh the fact that you have all of that, because you got to look at it like a car, a used car. When you go buy, okay, let's talk about cars. I'm a car dude. I'm a guy. I really do get down with cars. Okay. So let's say you got a you got a Porsche Cayenne. That's 2008 Porsche Cayenne, right? The truck, right? The truck. Now, it's got an accident or two that's in the Carfax. The Carfax is, got two reported accidents: a side collision and a front collision that basically happened, you know, throughout the car's life. From it's a 2008 in 2025. It's still a good car. It's a Porsche. You know, it's a status symbol. It's a luxury vehicle. It's a sport vehicle at the same time. It's a Porsche, right? Nobody would even know it's had the accidents though until you check the Carfax. Check the Carfax. You're a super consumer, or a very investigative consumer. So you want to make sure you're checking all the boxes to make sure everything is proper before you buy your vehicle. And then you pull the Carfax and you see the two accidents. And then you basically you give it to the car dealer, the Carfax, and you like, hey, you guys are selling me this Porsche Cayenne, or you selling this Porsche Cayenne for, this 2008 Porsche Cayenne for 8 grand. This car has two major accidents, one front end collision. Okay, front end collision, in case you didn't know, that's possibly engine damage. Okay, because if the car pushed in, they possibly either had to replace the whole engine, or the engine is they might have been able to like fix certain parts. It might be axle damage, might be front end suspension damage. There's a lot involved with a front end accident. They got to pull. This actually happened. I've had shit ton of cars. I had over 20 cars in my life. I had a Ford Mustang that I had a front end collision. They had to pull the actual uh structure of the chassis of the fucking vehicle to bend it so the car will be straight. So when you turn, it don't just, it goes left. When you're trying to go left, it doesn't go right. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have to do all of this when they do body work. So all of this stuff is not going to be perfect. It's not designed how it was engineered at the factory when it had a front end collision. They trying to make it like as perfect as they possibly can, but it's not going to be perfect because car had a major collision. They just did the body work to make sure they can kind of save the vehicle and still hold some type of value off of it. But it's not perfection, just like it came from the factory and it never had a collision. And it's old as well. 2008 and 2005, they already got the 2025 Porsches out, I'm sure, right? So, that goes into the younger women, right? Younger women, right? More value than older women. And it's like, okay, side impact, you know, not as bad as the front impact, but still the same thing. They gotta bend the vehicle instead of bending it to the front. They gotta bend it to the side because the car is bent in. Change the doors. They change. They might have to bend the chassis or even do some welding, right? And this happened to this just one vehicle, right? Two major accidents, right? Side collision and front collision. And then this these scam artists, because a lot of used car salesmen are scam artists. A lot of car salesmen, they trying to scam you pretty much, trying to sell you this overpriced car for a whole bunch of money. That's why a lot of them go out of business. Now the thing is when it comes to single moms, it's like this, you know, you tell a car dealer, man, these Carfax, they're like, man, and then you get the look on his face, he thought he was gonna get over on you, selling you this overpriced vehicle that's got two major collisions on it. And you like, okay, well, I'm still interested in the car, but I ain't gonna be able to pay no 8 grand. Can you do 5? And he like, nah, they probably gonna be like, no, because they know a sucker is gonna come through that door and finance that old vehicle or buy that vehicle for $8,000. You just was hip on game and you knew the Carfax and you're not gonna buy it at 8 grand. They'll just save it for another sucker, And the thing is this. What I'm saying is the dealer should sell you the car for a lower price, the 5,000 or something like that, because it's reasonable. But the thing is that when it comes down to it, what happens a lot of times, women do the same thing. Instead of you being all high and mighty about, okay, all of the after effect, like the after, pregnancy and childbirth and raising the children, overcoming all of that stuff, dealing with the quote unquote baby daddy or ex-husband or whatever the case may be, and being humble about it and being like, well, I need to get on my knees a little bit more than the average woman. I need to be more respectable than the average woman. I need to go above and beyond the average woman because I done had two major accidents. They don't do that, and they don't look at it like that. And they look at it with I think part of the reason why they don't look at it that way. They're in the conquest of trying to be men and be sole providers and all of that shit. They look at men doing this, having a grace, because men do have a grace as far as being a, parent or whatever, a single dad or whatever. you know we can actually, because men have different roles and different as far as what we can kind of get away with versus what women can get away with. And I talked about that on my channel years and years and years. I've been saying that, and it's like basically men are prized for our promiscuity. Women are not. Okay, women being promiscuous, slut, hoe. Some men are okay with that because just trying to get some pussy. So it's like, okay, cool. But a dude trying to look for a wife or something like that, he like, nah. I was listening to Proverbs, basically, and it was saying something about kind of staying away from loose women and stuff like that. Women that just basically giving it up or whatever. Now the thing is that when it comes down to it, the reason why women can't really do that is because it goes back to being a wife. Everything was designed for a woman to be a wife. Like it's still countries, there's still societies that are based off of that. A woman being a wife. So being a wife is being, preferably unblemished, untouched, right? A virgin, right? Everything based off of being non-promiscuous, being chaste, right? Not even being touched, being a virgin, right? Everything was based off of it. It's still societies where men will kill, they'll do an honor killing because their daughter, they come to find out that she wasn't chaste, she wasn't a virgin, she laid with another man, and that defied the family. Because you got to understand, it's certain countries that was everything, that was their livelihood was based off of them marrying off their daughter and making some type of fortune from that, from another man. And then there's honor and respect. It's embarrassing for them, for their daughter to be, basically laying with some other man without the father's permission. It was also, it would make the marriage invalid. Whatever that man paid for a dowry, that father depended on that dowry, and he would have to give that back. Or basically, yeah, that's where that honor killing stuff came from. Now I know all of this is like, I don't like this, and it's hateful, and the patriarchy, fuck men suck, and men, fuck men, and I mean, the thing is all of this plays a role in stabilizing society to a certain extent, because the thing is this: women carry children, primarily women being the carriers of children. If they don't have a father, we all know the statistics of that. It's literally anarchy, chaos, if no fathers in the household raising the children. So you see that. Now, all of that comes from, yeah, being a slut, being a hoe, having children. It's okay with being a slut and a hoe if you don't have children. But trying to be a man and fucking all the dudes, and having a, riding a cock carousel, it puts you in a situation where, yeah, another thing is the dude don't know if that child is his. He don't, what I'm saying? Then you don't know who the fucking father was, because you was just out kicking it and you had sex in the club bathroom. So you don't even know the dude's name. You kind of vaguely remember what he looks like. So you can't even find the actual father. You would need to go to science to find out who the father is, and hope that you can come up with a match. Like, I mean, it just, those things are relevant because the father is the protector. The father is the person that's, gonna raise that child. That's important. That's an important piece to a puzzle, or it's like by design. That's how that was supposed to work. Father, mother, right? You don't have the father, shit's not gonna be normal. Situations are not, things are not gonna be normal when you like have a broken system, you know, a broken cycle. So it's like, all of this stuff is relevant to a situation of, you know, trying to have it's called trying to have some type of cohesion. That cohesion does it gets broken down when you don't have a mother and a father. It just does. I've seen it my whole life. And it's like, yeah, um, in a in a certain sense, it's certain things that it's sacrificial. You have to sacrifice. And when that what I mean by sacrifice is, I know you want to be a man. I know you want to have your fun and you want to, do everything. You want to have your cake and eat it too. But it's consequences. Everybody has consequences for their actions. And the consequences, like I said, when it comes to not submitting, is suffering. Your child, he's crying out for his daddy. He don't know who his daddy is. He's asking you where his daddy is. So a lot of women lie to their children just so they can sleep at night, or not have to worry their kids, or whatever justification they do. They lie to their children, about who their daddy is, and they tell their children that daddy died. He died in the war. He died in the strip club wars of 95. You know, he died in battle. What's going on, Alonzo? Man, that's crazy. Even God knows that's crazy. Virgin Mary, yeah, she came with the baby. Yeah, that's wild, man. Um, yeah, it's like basically the thing is that it's a necessary thing, man. Like it's just one of those things that's necessary. Like I say, I mean, when you talk about class, like I talked about class earlier, when it comes down to, and I could drop the link. I could let me see if I can drop the link here. I mean, see if you wanted to dialogue. I don't want to just, I'm on the soapbox. I have, it's open dialogue as well. If I just want to give that option. Let me see here. Okay, like basically, I didn't make these rules. These are not coming from my gums, from my mouth. Just making it up. Like, it's a reason why things are the way they are. And reinventing the wheel, it doesn't necessarily work. The wheel was made for a reason. It was made round for a reason. Trying to make it square, yeah, it could work. Gonna give you a bumpy ride, but it was made. The wheel was made to be round. You know, um, at the end of the day, like, one of the things you realize when you're fucked. Even men, we realize I'm fucked. I got to do something to get unfucked. Whatever it is, I got to really break down. Damn, I'm fucked. I gotta work two shifts. You know, I'm just keep it real. I gotta do DoorDash for fucking 24 hours. I mean, I gotta actually do DoorDash. I mean, I gotta I gotta do DoorDash and I gotta do Uber Eats, man. I Men realize when we're fucked and we gotta do something different. You know, what a lot of times what women do is they don't real they know, they probably know they're fucked, but they don't try to do anything different. And all I'm saying is, you know, you are fucked. A lot of you are, and it's like you rather suffer. than get unfucked. They unfuck the situation. And it's like, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I see a lot of needless suffering. Because women, okay, men don't have any choice but to suffer. Ain't nobody gonna fucking take care of us. Like, yeah, you can go get an Oprah, like I'll be wearing my loafs and shit. I'll be walking around and shit, like, wearing my loafs. I see the older chicks looking, they be looking and shit. Yeah, I can be a gigolo if I wanted to be. I totally know I could. I don't want to be, but I could theoretically. Can every dude in America be a gigolo? No. Is that sustainable for every dude to be a gigolo? Like, and look, be honest, that's a fucking rabbit hole right there. A lot of women date from the Meg the Stallion influence and all these other rappers influencing, starting with even Lil Kim, and Foxy Brown and all of that. Yeah, I mean, trying to get money off a dude, right? Get the come up off that bread generation. I need this. I do feel kind of bad for younger men, like the Z's and whatnot, because they're the generation that grew up dating with all of this bullshit. We like Gen X, older millennials didn't have a lot of this bullshit where we never had no chick come up to us talking about, I need $10 to get my number. That concept was it was non-existent when I came up. If a chick didn't want to give you the number, she wouldn't give you the number, or she give you a fake number, whatever the fuck. Like, you was either gonna get the number, whatever, what I'm saying, get up with her later. It was no, you need $10 to DM me on some apps that's a bunch of nerds created to talk to me. Like, that was not existent. I know the internet wasn't around and stuff like that. Like, it was new when I came up. I came up in the internet revolution, computer revolution, right, of the 90s, the dot-com boom, right? So they just how they came up, when it had all of these social media came out, right? Like late 90s, right? MySpace, Black Planet, then Facebook, Instagram, et cetera. Now you got, DM fee, $10 to DM me, on OnlyFans, DM me on OnlyFans. And it's like, it's this simp. The internet has created a large simp movement. It made women accessible, men accessible, but it just, basically, it became a marketing tool for simps, a pipeline for simps to, basically inflate a bunch of women. And that's what happened. These women were inflated. And unfortunately, you seeing the fallout. You seeing the internet, you seeing the fallout of this, right? The fallout is tripped out. This is the fallout. These women are getting older. Okay, the society is, time is not stopping, right? Things are not stopping. People get older, right? Women get older. With all of these like concepts and everything, it gets to a point where it does not matter. Like, okay, Unfortunately, and this is the thing, this is a lot of times what you see, right? I was talking to a woman, I was in Walgreens. She was like in her 60s. She said her back hurts. Her back was hurting. She was looking for something or whatever, and she told me why her back was hurting. And the reason why her back hurts is she said she had a lot of fun when she was younger. She said she was horseback riding. She was riding on motorcycles and stuff like that. And she had a lot of fun, and yeah, her back hurts. Okay. I didn't ask her anything about if she was married or anything like that. But yeah, I would if I was a betting man, which I am, I would say that she wasn't married, but I don't know. I didn't ask her. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that I don't know, you know. But the thing is this: when it comes down to it, the unfortunate thing about women is all of that shit doesn't matter after a certain age, and they know that. And they start getting really fucking evil and mean after a certain age because they know they're not really relevant at a particular point. Like, it's like they can do certain things. That's why you see like women just kind of like they get real goofy after a certain age. You know, the Madonnas, the whatever. You know, putting thirst traps in they like 50s, 60s and shit, trying to still put thirst traps, and it's like they start looking ridiculous online on the internet. They start looking like sideshow freaks and shit. And it's like, yeah, I mean, after a certain age, unfortunately, women get irrelevant because basically, here's the thing. And I'll have to say it, like, it just is. And I know. I mean, I know the truth hurts. It stings. It stings like a needle, right? Well, one of the things that makes a woman is a womb. That's what makes a woman, her womb. And after a certain age, a woman's womb is pretty much starts to go out of business. And women struggle during this time because they don't really feel, a lot of them feel very invalidated. They pretty much, they know they lost their value at that point. At that point, a lot of women, they do kind of may more or less accept that, or be willing to pay men to be with them because they know exactly, some of them know pretty much where they are. They start to really understand reality. Okay, I'm 45. Okay, pretty much my womb is going out of business. Okay, my children, they're teenagers, or they're older. Um, I still got some good pussy here, but I know I don't have the value, you know, that the younger women have. They have their fun. I've had my fun. They're having their fun now, whatever. I've had mine. And it's pretty much, I'm starting to think about, where I'm gonna live, and, you know, taking care of my children, making sure they have whatever they have for their, starting their adult life and stuff like that. Not all of them don't have that mindset. A lot of them, it's a mixed bag. You got some of them that are extremely delusional. You got levels of delusion, right? They they still feel like they have it. A lot of these women are really difficult to date too, because they don't care. They know they stop caring at a certain point. And when you try to deal with a woman that don't care, it's really like it's really gets goofy to deal with women like that because they don't, dealing with a woman that just kind of just she's given up on life, and she just doesn't care about anything. Like she just, it just starts getting weird. And then when you get into the realm of you trying to kiss a woman's ass that is basically doesn't have, her womb is pretty much coming up on expiration. It's like, it's like milk that is discounted. It should be discounted, because it's already near expiration date, and most likely not valid for, you know, regular consumption. They want you to kiss their ass, go on a date, you know, spend a whole bunch of money, waste your time, blah blah blah. And if you go for that, you go for that. But it's like you got to understand that the reality is, um, you're you're a grandma, or going to be a grandma at best. You're no longer a MILF. You're a GILF. You're a grandma I like to fuck. Not you're transitioning from a MILF to a GILF, and you're still acting like as if you're a MILF. And that's where the delusion comes in. And guys try to tell them that, and it's like, it's the misogyny, and it's like, no, it's reality. I mean, I'm being kind of comical, but not really. It's really true. It's really reality. At some point or another, if you keep living, you get old, and you get older and older. And it's like, you living your life, other people are not going to see things how you see it. And a lot of times, realistically, when people are really realistic, they see things exactly how they are. And they might not tell you because they want to spare your feelings, and it's like, I'm kind of trying to help you by not sparing your feelings, and you wake up to realize, yes, it's exactly how it is. I would, you could trick your mind and not believe it and all of that other stuff, and hype you up to believe you're still a MILF and everything like that. But no, at some point or another, pretty much you transition from a MILF to a GILF. So even a MILF, being, kind of a used car that had a couple accidents, imagine a GILF that had those same accidents, and you're still walking around like you hot shit. And it's like, no, it goes back to being a MILF, trying to be married, trying to get married to a man that, basically is has some type of, value, or some type of substance. You think that you're, still has the value of when you were 19, and the same negotiation rules of when you're 19. And it's like, yeah, I mean, a a simp is gonna always overvalue women. That's what simps do. And it's a lot of simps. And it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of women they try to even avoid simps, or they disrespect simps, give them a hard time, but they're giving you the value that you are looking for. They they will. entertain your delusion. Yet you don't even want your delusion entertained. You want a particular guy to be entertained by your delusion, but the simp, to say nothing, at least the simp is entertaining your delusion. They're going along with your delusion. Like they will put a tiara on your head and give you the world as much as they possibly can and everything, with all of your problems, your baggage, your issues, and you get those guys, and then you treat them like shit, talk to them like shit, and all of that type of stuff. And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, there you go. I mean, those are the only guys that will entertain that delusion, that will go there with you with your own delusion. But you can't keep those guys because you get bored, you get tired of them saying yes every time. you know you may deal with someone that you're not in a relationship with, and you still getting old though. Your time, you're just wasting your time on earth. You're getting older and older and older, and you just, because you have not dealt with your delusion and your problems, you're just wasting time. And that's what I see out here. That's a lot of what I see out here in the world. A lot of people just wasting their time, in delusional land, fantasy land. It's what was the game we played when we was younger? Was it Fantasy Island or Fantasy Land or something like that? Yeah, like that's what people do. That's the whole saga of a lot of relationships and relationship problems. You got a lot of women that just don't know how to submit. They don't know. They were not never trained, or they were even trained to submit or whatever, and they just have all of these issues because maybe they picked the wrong dude. Because see, you got to understand, going back to cars, the father was the finance manager. He was the finance manager. He was the man that came in, was like, this dude is qualified to pay the car note of this car, to take care of this car. He is financially qualified and capable. He has a job. He has references. He has work history. He can take care of this car payment. Approved. Send it to the bank. You know, the bank co-signs it. Okay, all right. This is the rate. This is the down payment. Okay, you get the car. Well, the finance manager was fired. Finance manager is no longer in existence. You know what the relationship market is now? The reality of it is, like, basically, because of whatever you want to, feminism, whatever the fuck, what it made it where it's like finance manager is no longer in existence. Pretty much, very few finance managers. That concept of the patriarchal figure choosing or basically validating mate selection for the daughter, is that concept no longer remains in American society. What do you see? American society crumbling to the heels, right? So who is the finance manager now? The actual the actual the car is the finance manager. That's however retarded that sounds. The car is the finance manager. And cars don't, right, like, unless you're a fucking 3-year old and you watch the movie Cars, it, you know that concept is just not reality. A car doesn't talk and make financial decisions on who can buy me. But as a, and I hate to admit it, it goes back to, it goes back to kind of, the whole, the guy dirty folks, calling women toddlers. It goes back there because, okay, the man being the finance manager, you know, uh, being the middle person of qualifying who can buy this car, who is, able to take care, possibly have a strong decision on who qualifies for this car. That person is no longer in existence. Who else is left? Okay, the car salesman ain't there because who the car salesman has nothing to do with who gets the car or not. He's just handing the paperwork off to the finance manager. He's a mute point in this situation. It's the car, the buyer, which pretty much is the man. The man is the buyer of the car. The car is the woman. The finance manager is the father. I guess in the Arabic terms or Islamic terms, the car salesman is the wali, the chaperone of the marriage contract or the marriage or the nikah, right? Nikah in Arabic is marriage. It's also the same word for sex because basically, like, yeah, in Islam you can't just not supposed to technically be having sex. You're supposed to be married, right? It's supposed to be in a context of marriage that you're having sex. The actuality of sex and marriage is the same concept. That's why it's the same word. But anyway, like the only thing left is right the car. So the car is trying to sell itself. Again, that concept only the only way it makes sense is being a toddler and watching the animation cartoon Cars. That's how crazy that is. Because obviously women do not make good decisions about who can be financially responsible to take care of them, competently responsible to take care of them, pay for the car itself. So obviously the car is just giving himself to anybody. You want, it's just like the movie. Go watch the cartoon Cars, the cartoon movie. I think it's just about cars or something. I don't know. Watch that shit. Just what I'm saying? Like it's on some that movie was designed. So I think it was a Disney movie. I'm not sure. It was designed for little children, cars that talk and have eyeballs in the front. Like it was designed for little children, small children to a cartoon for them. And that concept is how women are choosing mates now. Some of them, luck up or they choose, right partners, some of them are, they choose okay. Maybe they are finance managers, and they could choose who can buy them. I don't know. However, that concept, you could defy it in your brain. I mean, the cars are actually choosing the actual worthy applicants of being able to finance them. But actually, what really is happening is they're not even getting financed. They're not getting married, obviously, right? That's why you got all of the uh single relationships and all of that stuff, situationships and all, right? So what's going on is the guy is okay. Oh, I like him. He got some riz. He got some. He got some swag, girl. Uh, he tall. Ooh, damn. they ovulate and they horny, so any dude is attractive damn near when they horny. So it's like, oh yeah. And then the dudes he gets in the car, just takes off. Yeah, just just hot, butt naked, hardcore, just going 0 to 60, busting nuts, like Platinum Elise say, busting nuts, emptying his ball sack, you know, and then I get, it's like life of cars, you know what I'm saying? Now new cars are made. It's like, oh my God. It's like, yeah. And then the dude gets out the car and it's like no obligations whatsoever. If he liked the car, he just keep driving it. Don't gotta pay the car note. You know, don't pay no lease. It's no lease every month. And I guess that's why women are like, man, I need some money. I need some money. I mean, I guess that's explains women's attempt to get some type of financial incentive for you riding in their car or riding them like a car. I mean, I guess that makes sense, in that sense of things, right? Break down that philosophical understanding as far as women being cars and shit. I guess them asking for a toll or some type of rental fee or some type of money, makes it kind of makes more sense if you look at it like that, right? Because most of the times women, just let dudes just get in the car, just drive off. Most women, they still have that, you know, they got that one driver that they like to drive, that they like. It's like, man, when I'm talking about this, I'm just thinking about that cartoon Cars and shit, man. Now I gotta go watch that shit, man. You know, I mean, they just letting like, oh, I like this driver. It's like, man, it's just like, wow. And then, it's like, man, next thing you know, tires worn out, tie rod busted, axle fucked up, you know, um, engine engine is blown, transmission transmission only going reverse after a while. Yeah, because the finance manager, man, he was basically his position was axed. You know, 1950s, 1960s, feminism fired the finance manager. We don't want the finance manager anymore. We just want to be cars and be stupid. But the elites knew. They knew the game. We're gonna turn everybody into. We're gonna turn all these broke, uh, underclass women into cars, and we still gonna have our finance manager. We gonna still live in our mansions, and with our Rolls Royce and our, Jaguars and everything, in our country clubs, and all of these broke motherfuckers gonna be cars. They gonna live in trailer parks and project buildings and be cars and shit. You know, be the secret life of cars. That's crazy, man. Because that's actually what's the fuck is going on. It's like, again, that's why I'm a genius, man. I could just, eloquently break that shit down to why women are cartoons, put themselves in a cartoon state of mind of, you know, being a fucking car, trying to sell the, like, imagine a car trying to sell itself. It's like some oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh my God. Oh hell no. Now I gotta go into Transformers. Cause then now and this probably, man, this, I swear to God, I'm not high. I am not high. I mean, like my cat kind of woke me up early because he wanted a fucking snack, and I was gonna go back to sleep. But I was watching some YouTube and shit. I am not high, man. But that's why you got the whole Transformers more than meets the eye. Oh my god, the Transformers, man. You know, the god doggone Transformers. They turn into Autobots and Decepticons. Then they form back into a truck, a car, you know, goddamn big rig. Oh my god. The Transformers. Why are you gay? I mean, this shit crazy, man. This shit is wild, man. And meanwhile, like, people, other countries, man, they like Anthony Adams. They rubbing their hands. They like, yeah, yeah, anytime. We're gonna take over. They're ready to pounce. They already pouncing. They like, man, they looking at us like weak. Like they just seeing all of this weakness. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, delusion will have you thinking you're strong. Like fight somebody that's delusional. And then all you gotta do is hit them in their temple. They're gonna go to sleep because they're delusional. It's a crazy person. Delusion is mental illness. That's pretty much mental illness. You're thinking fucked up. Your thoughts is fucked up as hell. Go play chess being delusional. Good luck trying to win. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like when I play one of the reasons why I play chess again, I've said this thousands of times, is to make sure my head is fucking straight. Like my, pause. Like, I mean, where my mental, processes are functioning properly. That's why, like, they say older people, like, senior citizens should play chess because it helps with their cognitive ability. Like when I'm off as far as my mindset, I'm not able to really play chess well. And it's a gauge for me to, like, make sure, okay, well, I need to probably get some extra rest. I need to de-stress. I need to, do something to get my mind right. It's like um what's that rapper Mystical? Bitch, get your mind right. Like, it's like you know what I'm saying? You got to get your mind right. Like, whatever it takes, get your mind right. Like I ain't gonna lie. This is like, it's not no secret, but a lot of people don't understand the value of, I did a video on superior mindset. Okay. You know, it's your mind, your brain, right? Your cognitive ability is everything. And everything. Literally anything and everything. If your mind is not sharp, if you don't have a sharp brain, if your brain is fucked up, your mind is messed up, your whole life is messed up. Your brain is probably more important than even your body. That's why when you know where I'm going with this. That's why when you could be in a hospital and you could be a vegetable and they could say, like, hey, well, this person is technically alive, but their brain is dead. And people say, mindset, people talk about, oh, mindset, it ain't shit. Mindset is every fucking thing. And I think the person that said that was a fucking doctor that said mindset is not important. Like, if your brain is fucking dead, you're a vegetable. So that lets you know right there what's more valuable, your mind or your brain, your fucking mind. I mean, yeah, your body is important as well, but that's why people could live without legs and arms. Like, you know, like your brain is more important than any fucking thing. Your mind, how you think is important. And the thing is that I still have not done. I have part two on my social issues versus financial issues, and I'm gonna get down to race and stuff like that. And the thing is and how it correlates to the class system in America, the lower classes to upper class. The thing is the upper class. You notice how they look at black people, like different races. How on your day to day living in America, do you see how other people look at you? Like as far as black, like look at you as a black person. Can you kind of sense that they look at you like a goofy? Because I'll be honest, I get that sense. Like, yeah, they person look at me like I'm a goofy, like you know um and the reason that they look at you like that is because in you might, okay, this is the thing I'm saying. You might come in a business, someone's business, and the reason why they looking at you like that, you going to somebody's business, a gas station or whatever. You hopping out, your AMG G-Wagon 2024 Benz, and you're dressed to the nines. Tom Ford, uh, Rolex watch, Armani frames, whatever. Like you're glowing, right? Like the thing is like, some people don't know how to be anything but dusty. But it's some guys, they know how to shine. They know what to do. It's just people be struggling. People be going through their own problems. But in this particular case, a person is glowing, right? You know, balling, right? The dude behind the counter, the Indian guy, the Arabian guy, and I'm gonna go to this when I get to the classes and everything, as far as you know by race, when I do my lecture, my part two. The reason, like, they'll still look at you like a goofy because they don't look at you. What black people think that they can do is, this is what black people, and it kind of goes to like women too, and just primarily black women too, as far as being a single mother. You can't separate yourself from everybody else that looks like you. And I know you get that concept. You get that concept that you cannot separate yourself from everybody else that looks like you. So when it comes to Arabians, Indians, Pakistanis, which pretty much is pretty much Indians, right? They look at themselves as a whole entire group. They look at themselves like a group, right? They don't look at themselves like on some individual level like shit. Like they have a standard, they have a country, some of them have different standards, they got different caste systems and stuff like that. They don't like to be embarrassed. They don't like to be, below standard. Okay, it's a lot of them that are below standard in their country, way below standard. When they come to America, a lot of people, when they come to America, they get bougie. That's the thing that people do when they come to America. When certain groups come to America, they try to get bougie. Even though India got a huge entire shit problem, they have a shit and piss problem in India. Like they have a severe sanitary issues. India is a strange thing to really look at. India is a strange country. Like really, it's kind of weird when you really look at India itself. Like Arabia is a mixed bag. You do have a lot of poverty in Arabia too, like the different parts of Arabia and different parts of the Arabian world, because the Arabians is pretty much Eurasians. The Arabians are a mix of Europeans, Asians, and Africans. They pretty much came from the north in Europe and they came down to Arabia because Arabia was ran by the Ethiopians, the Axum Empire, Africans. And they basically came from the north and came down. They conquested, they won, the Ethiopians lost, and the rest is history. But the thing is that um, their standard is higher than Indians, primarily because of the caste systems. So India, what gets really weird about India is India has a lot of rich, not a lot, but quite a few super rich individuals, and also even rich companies. You know, I've worked for a couple Indian multinational companies, you know, when I working in IT, and they have quite a few billionaires, right? As well, and a lot of millionaires. A lot of them are outside of India as well. They have a lot of, you know, even in America, they have quite a few billionaires that are Indians, right? You know, or mega millionaires. You know, like the candidate that was running for president, Ramaswamy, and all that. They have a lot of rich. You know, they tap into um basically wealth gaining very good. They're really good at gaining wealth. Um, but the country of India, if you go to India per se, the continent of India, or the actual country of India, it's it's weird in the sense that you got quite a few rich people like Tata Group. You got you know dudes is billionaires, mega billionaires worth over like $100 billion. You got quite a few people that you know are Indians that are very rich, right? They come up with all kinds of technology. They pretty much run IT as far as human resources, as far as software, not so much hardware. The Chinese pretty much run hardware, or Taiwanese, Japanese, Koreans, right? But India, they primarily run the actual human resource side of it, you know, and they made a lot of wealth from that. Actually, Indians own, I think, Range Rover and also even Jaguar. They own those brands. They just once you have enough money, you can just buy whole entire companies, right? So they own those. They actually own other brands as well, right? So the thing is that what's weird about India is usually with countries or people that's rich, like for example, you know, British people or Japanese, that usually is associated with the country. The country is pretty much robust and rich, like Germans, Germany, right? Well, not so much with India. Like India as a country, it's like you got a few people that are very wealthy and rich, got some people that are rich, you got different classes, but they got an old class system that they call a caste system that they just let. I mean, it's not because they have the caste system. That caste system pretty much it makes India what the actual country, the country that it makes the country the way it is, because it holds the country back from actually working properly. Like if you think of a working country, you think of, United States or whatever, which United States have problems, very similar problems to India as far as class systems or even caste systems, right? Because they don't really care about poor communities and stuff like that. Certain states, they don't care, like California, you know, um, they don't address, the wealth distribution properly, or as good as other countries like Sweden or Finland and stuff like that, or even you could say Qatar, right? I'm good. I'm cold with it. Okay. Um, the thing is that, like India, or I was saying America, it has a transportation system that flows primarily because of the federal tax system, the federal government. The federal government is like the grandfather. The states are like the dad. And then you have counties and all of that. Those are like the children, right? So you have this governmental system, right, that all flows. And it's supposed to be laws. If you break these laws, if you discriminate, you can get sued. If you get caught in discrimination, you did something wrong, police shoot someone, and he's a racist, he's a crazy racist, and he's found out to be so, you got to pay the family some money. Those concepts do not exist in India. India has a deep, long, 10,000-year-old caste system that literally holds the country back. So you don't have modern sewage. India has enough rich individuals or rich people to actually fund a sewage system, right? A proper sanitation system. But because of the caste system of not caring about the lower classes and all of that, they just don't care about, the lower classes or lower castes and shit like that. So the countries where, because you got most of the people that are in poverty or in the lower caste systems per se, they hold the entire country back, because they don't, it's not the same type of system. It's, it doesn't flow like that. It's you can't sue if you're in a lower caste. It's almost, you got, I mean, I can be corrected. I'm not 100% on it as far as I know, but I don't think you can sue if you're in a lower caste. It'll be hard for you to sue someone in the higher caste. I mean, look at Slumdog Millionaire and all that type of stuff. But the thing is this: those concepts are very difficult to. It's no equitable distribution of the governmental system, because of these primarily because of the caste systems. You this group doesn't want this group, and this lower group, and the Brahmins and the Dravidians and all of that. They don't want them to have anything, so they don't get anything. It's not like they're going to run pipes through the Dravidians neighborhood or the lower caste systems neighborhood and have any type of sewage system. They don't want them to have anything. So because they don't want a lot of the quote unquote have nots to have anything, the whole country doesn't have anything. So you go over there, you got, if you got to take a shit, you got to go shit outside. You got to go piss outside, and then the smell makes you throw up. So a lot of people just throw up because you smelling piss and shit and all kind of other stuff, and it makes you throw up. So you walk around and this is what my cousin told me. This is what other people have told me as well. You know, because of the smell, you gotta understand. Because of the smell, a lot of people throw up. So you got piss, shit, and also throw up because that's the smell literally just makes you throw up. So yeah, you got all of this type of stuff, but yet they do come over here and they have a higher standard because it's also a hard living over there. You going from an environment that's very very difficult to live, and then you go into an environment that's very easy to live. Of course, you just gonna go through. You gonna be like LeBron James. You gonna jump out the gym because you actually have a gym to jump in. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, man. And the thing is they still have their country. They have the traditions. They got 10,000-year-old traditions and philosophies and stuff like that. I'm not diminishing any of that, but the thing is that when it comes to black people and why they look at you the way they do is because they look at Africa is a conquered nation. India primarily, it's been absorbed by other people. They've been conquered too, but they absorbed they eventually overcame everybody that tried to absorb them. And Africa remained. They fought. They fought and overcame a lot of stuff, but they've been invaded. They're still invaded. Because technically Arabians are not Africans. They tell you exactly that they're not Africans. They're Arabians. No matter whatever French Montana, he calls himself African, but he definitely knows he's Arabian. I mean, the thing is that still remains so. Like, so it's like even the Africans, like, when they come over here and they try to do the same thing. They look at Africans like with a strange face, but that is that's kind of you kind of tripped out too, because it kind of goes back. This all kind of goes back to basically conceptually, you're looking at yourself like you're so high above, but actually, and this is what African Americans say, your homeland is very similar. Like, they have the same concepts in India, other than it's just not a lot. It's not like it's a whole bunch of Africans that's balling out of control like Indians that's worth $100 billion. It's like a few, but India has like I mean, I don't know how many. Actually, I can fucking Google that shit real quick. But Africa does not have like a lot of rich people like that, you know. So it's not like they have enough money to have a sewage system and all of that type of stuff. And don't I don't want to say that modern sewage systems are the solution to all problems. Modern sewage has its problems as well, because one of the things about the modern sewage system is that, okay, when you have, like, for example, the steel mills, right, in Gary, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, stuff like that. Well, if they got contaminants in the water, that water goes into the drinking supply, and then people get poisoned. So you got a lot of groundwater that is also poison, because you got old piping, you got substandard filtration systems, uh, stuff like that. So it's not like, I'm not coming to, saying that modern sewage is just, it's the golden goose that lays the golden egg. No, that's not the case. Um, Not the case at all. I'm saying that it does help having modern sewage to have water, have sanitation, have more better sanitation, but it has its pros and cons too. Like for example, uh, a lot of a lot of corporations like factories, they dump toxic waste in the modern sewage system, and it flows in through the water supply. And then next a town or city has a small city or whatever has a whole bunch of cancer patients because toxic waste has mixed into the groundwater and into the public water systems. So it does have it's quite a share of problems as well. But the thing is that Africa does not even have the money and resources to doesn't have a whole bunch of rich people like India has, and doesn't have a united country as well like India has, to form some type of modern sewage system and stuff like that. So when the Africans come over to America, I do have to look at that, and I have to tell them as well that, yeah, you coming over here with a level of grandiose that's not valid, because where you're from, you might have an ancient culture and you come from this ancient culture directly. And then, you look into African Americans like we're mutts that, disseminated, that, came from captives from a tribe that was conquered, 500 years ago or whatever, that mixed in with, Europeans and Indians and all of that other stuff. But at the end of the day, um, yeah, you're also, were conquered as well back home, colonized, you know, because the white people just basically got all of the human resources and just walked right into Africa and didn't face hardly any type of intrusions, because, or had any type of defense, because they had all of the people already. They had all of these tribal people that were caught, and it wasn't that many people. So it's like basically a lot of the defenses were down. Now, again, like, coming over to another country as if you're superior, it's delusion, because if you really were superior, your homeland would be like superior. Like, okay, like a German coming over to America, you could be the case of, kind of having a superior type of like hierarchical look of yourself versus other people. It's more of a concept because, even though Germany was basically fucking carpet bomb. I mean, Germany lost two wars. I mean, even that, you'd have to, it'd be certain levels of dialogue when it comes to that, because it's like, okay, hey, yeah, World War I, World War II, um, West Berlin, the Berlin Wall, the Russians. Yeah, buddy, you're not. I know, I get it, but you got some things that happened to your people too, that were pretty much defeated a lot of times. So it's like, yeah, I mean, basically what I'm saying is, looking at looking at yourself as better than others. I get it, but it's like it does play a role, as far as like, basically, it's kind of like when you're rich. I did a post, I shared it on my YouTube as well, and it said, even if you're rich and your family is poor, you still come from a poor family. If you're rich, if you got rich tomorrow and your family is poor, you still technically come from a poor family, because you haven't made your whole family rich. That's where the game is. That's where you talking about some old, Carnegie Mellon, uh, Rothschilds, you know, Rockefellers. It's that's the you know, ultimate thing, making your family rich as possible. You being rich yourself is fine. That's great. But the ultimate fuck you is making your family rich, if possible, right? I mean, I don't really know. Like, to be honest, like, okay, as far as what I know about, let's just say the Rockefellers. Um, I don't really necessarily. I would have to research all of that, but it kind of like really, to be honest, like you might have to start with your own children and start your own family and branch off. Like I mean, it might not necessarily work for your fucking family tree. Like, I mean, I would have to do research on who actually did that and that pulled that off, but I don't know if that usually works. It usually is like you actually branching off your own. You create from your own family name, you branch off, and kind of like create your own like type of, super, your children, your grandchildren, then y'all, spread out and y'all create, this new, because you hear that, because like you I met other people, it's other people named Kennedy, right? Their last name is Kennedy. And, you got a lot of black people that got, European last names, right? Go back to the plantations. You could trace your, family possibly back to the plantations and shit like that. Um, that's just, it just is what it is. Like, it's like an African having an Arabian name, like last name or whatever. Not first name, but even the first name is, some with that. But if your last name is Muhammad, well, that means that some you at one particular time in Africa, some Arabians came in and invaded and took over, and that's why your last name is Muhammad. And you're dark skinned from Senegal, right? That's how that origin story started. Like, your name is Johnson and Lewis and Kennedy, and I met a dark skinned black man. His last name was Kennedy. And it was like, okay, your last name is Kennedy because same thing. White people, you know, pretty much you got some white people in your family tree somewhere, or some white people owned your ancestors and you never changed your name or whatever. You know, I'm not gonna go into the nation. I'm not. I'm not gonna go into, join the Nation of Islam, get an X and all that. I'm not gonna go that deep into the rabbit hole, but that is valid. I do think that is valid if you brave enough to do so. I think that's a valid point. But let me digress. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that you got Kennedys that they'll say, no, I'm not related to John, the Kennedy family of John F. Kennedy and all of them, because it's just a family name that kind of spread out, all over the place. But you may have to start with your own nuclear family and branch off, and then try to do that. I think that's what a lot of people try to do, or their goal is to do, because I don't know if you gonna get Grandma Nook Nook and Peanut and JoJo, to join, Company X and actually cooperate, and all that. I don't know. I mean, I'm a very optimistic person, but I'm also reasonable as well. Like, probably is not gonna work. You know, I don't know. Maybe it may you know all you can do is try. You know, convert a family trust and give everybody some contributions every month. Give them like, okay, you got you worth $100 million or a billionaire. You know, you can give your entire family tree. They got to sign up and everything, give their information. You can get them $1,000 a month. You can give basically your family tree universal basic income. You know, I mean, um, and from what I just got from Chat GPT, it's 169 billionaires. In Africa, it's not that many billionaires. I think it's like 10 or something like that. It's like 20 maybe billionaires in entire Africa. All right, so yeah, you got your family tree. Let's see, you got probably what about 600 people in your family tree, maybe. I'm just times 1,000. It's just $600,000 a year. That's what Beyonce used probably for. That's probably like her kitchen. Okay, that's Beyonce's kitchen is 600,000. It's probably worth more than that, but that's Beyonce's kitchen, right? That's nothing. Every year, $600,000. Give each family member $1,000. Now, here's the thing. That's not what I'm talking about. As far as that's not going to make your family technically rich. That's probably going to make some of them, because you got to understand, like they do experiments. They have done universal basic income experiments. The experiments worked out positively. Some of those people they were able to use those funds to have some type of financial upward mobility. So what you'll be doing is like giving your family tree some type of financial upward mobility. And of course, yeah, if you die, it's probably gonna be a whole bunch of people at your funeral. Now, you done bribe people to actually show up to your funeral. Probably some of them ain't gonna show up because they ain't give a fuck, whatever. But probably more people gonna show up at your funeral than if you didn't do that. But as far as making your family rich like you are, that's not gonna happen from that. Some of those people are gonna be helped. You can do some, like, have contributions like that every month for them, and having some type of like college endowment fund. They get an automatic scholarship every college age child that grows up to be 18. They get, you put like $10 million in the college endowment fund, and the kids can go to college. Now that's more upward mobility, right? Because I know you're probably confused, like, damn, he's pro education, and it's like, no, don't go to college. No, you could how you gonna be a doctor? The Indians, how the Indian standards, the Nigerian standard, be a doctor, accountant, a lawyer, an engineer. To be one of those and be successful, really, you have to go to college. You have to go to university. I'm not that. Don't get it twisted. Like, I've done plenty of live streams, and the actual statistics on education is very profound as far as being a millionaire. I mean, I still have those stats. Let me see here. I think I do. Nah. Oh yeah. Yep. Right here. Right here. Okay. This channel is about right here. This is my book. It's the only book I ever written. That's what this is the paramount to this channel here, right there. Millionaire Savings Plan on Amazon, on brokegeniuses.com, right there. Okay. So, education police, that's not my sentiments. Like I say, one of the reasons why they do have the upward mobility in America is the standard engineer, doctor, lawyer, accountant, entrepreneur, right? Gas stations, smoke shops, you know, that type of thing. That makes, I'm gonna get to it, when I get to the actual part two of the social issues versus financial issues. But again, $10 million endowment fund, college endowment fund, you know, 52% of millionaires earned a master's or doctorate degree. So over half. Okay. So if you don't have the master's degree, a doctorate degree, you, technically by percentages or probability, it's going to be hard for you to become a millionaire. For example, my cousin, he's a doctor now. He's got his doctorate in psychology. You know, um, makes over six figures, guaranteed, right? So more when you make six figures, pretty much like it's the reason it's a big deal. Even Charlie Munger, he said, whatever you got to do, make six figures, because that's the hard part. Before you become a millionaire, you got to make $100,000 or more, right? It's the pathway to becoming a millionaire, because it's 10% of $1,000,000, right? $100,000. So if you're making $10,000, that's only 1% of $1,000,000. So it's easier to be on a level of 10% versus 1%. Poverty is, $10,000 a year. Definitely. If you make 10 times that, it's an easier path to become a millionaire. That's why that's a significant deal. So yeah. Like I say, the standard, that's kind of why they look at you too, like sideways. But the thing is that um they looking at it like you sideways, because um it's a lot of different factors. They're looking at it like I say, I mean, they looking at you like you're a conquered person, conquered people. You're kind of a loser, because like I say, ideology, you're hopping out the G-Wagon, Rolex watch, you look like a millionaire, right? They still look at you the same, because they looking at all of your people living in the ghetto. They selling your people Swisher wraps in gas with no weed. Like, it's a respect level. It's embarrassing. Now their people back home are living worse, though. So it is kind of weird too. Some weird shit, weird concepts, because they people living worse. They know that. But then when they over here, they have that bougie mentality or superior mentality for some reason. Like, soon as they hop on a plane, their brain gets into a superior mindset. After they, you know, be coming from a situation where it's hard living versus easy living, and they take it full advantage of that easy living. People here get complacent and comfortable. They don't really know, they don't have that hunger and understanding of having a hard life and all of that, and got to go through your own struggles. But they know back home that and then they do something. Indians in Africa too. Indians in Africa doing the same shit. They got, businesses and stuff like that in Africa. The Arabians is invaded Africa. They still in Africa. They, North Africa, whatever, Egypt, they still there, conquering, enslaving. So they look when they come over here to America, you don't know that history. You just you're just a 85 octane, sexy red listening to, no book reading, weed smoking, Swisher Sweet, Hennessy drinking, regular, degular person that doesn't know that history, and you wonder why they looking at you like that. Well, that's why, you know. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you might think you separate yourself from Africans because you're brainwashed and you're delusional, but they're not in that sense. They know exactly what goes on in their country. They know exactly what they're doing to people that look like you, and you're brainwashed to believe that you're separate from them, right? So, it all is all relevant. And then when I come in there, I look at them like they're looking at me, you know, I look different, as far as like way my eyes look at them, like it's like I know what the fuck is going on. Like you know, it's like, yeah, I know the game. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they still gonna look, but I don't have any problems. But I know what's up. I know thine enemy, right? So it's like, yeah, that's one of the things, as far as knowledge is power. Well, if you don't know thine enemy, then you're not powerful. You're delusional, brainwashed, and weak. You know, so that plays a role in that, and it's like, yeah, and that goes into, also when you get back in your car and drive away, and you don't think, okay, why did you don't you don't understand why he looks at you like that, or why they look at you like that, and you don't take that and actually go and start a business, start a gas station or whatever, to try to have some type of business where people come in and you ain't gonna be looking at them like that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, though that's where that goes into. Like, it's like you should have that same type of drive and focus, But I'm one of the few people, and there's many people like myself that have that mindset of, yeah, I need to have businesses for my people just like everybody else does. I don't I don't want to be um a consumer, you know, people that has more consumption than production. You see, you need to have a balance of production and consumption. And black people, unfortunately, in America, have a problem of consumption without production, and that's where the problem comes in. And millions of dollars does help with that. Does help with starting business. It's easier to start businesses being a millionaire versus anything else, or it's easier obviously with billions of course as well. And it helps you deal with a lot of different things having money. I'm not going to say it's the band-aid to everything, but it's a lot easier having money, having millions of dollars, and dealing with issues and problems than not. One of the reasons why it's so difficult for black people to make money and become millionaires is because of all of the different obstacles that you have to overcome. you know but once you do have that money, once you do have that access to money, it does help, and it is easier to start certain businesses. It's easier to start a business when you have money, um versus when you don't have money. You don't necessarily, you can use leverage because, okay, you say you got $10 million, or let's say you just only got $1 million. Well, you don't have to use your money. If you got $1 million, okay, if you follow the tenets in this book, I mean, you paid off all your debts. Your credit is good, obviously, right? It's usually associated. The reason why a lot of people have bad credit is because they don't. It's hard because you don't have any money as well. Like, it's the reason why a lot of times people have poor credit is because they're poor. You don't have enough money to pay your bills. It's not that people don't want to pay their bills. It's because a lot of times they just don't have, they're cash strapped and they don't have the money to pay their bills. So when it comes down to it, when you have, money, quote unquote, your credit should be good. So you can use your leverage of your credit to get money from other rich people to start businesses. I don't, whatever it is, like in Gary, Indiana, a good business to start is a construction business, an investment, a real estate investment business, because there's a lot of houses to be fixed up. A lot of people need money, need their house fixed up. This morning, I got to go do some, basically work on, I got to install some siding on a commercial building. I'm all over the place, but that's a good business to start because, um, and I'm not saying you got to deal with like maybe a city or something like that. Is, kind of, or, a place that maybe is more lower economic. You don't have to deal with stuff like that. I'm a tough guy. I'm a very, very tough guy, and I'm kind of was forced to be tough. I had to be tough. So I've been in a lot of situations where I had to be extremely tough, and it just is what it is. Okay. You don't have to be, going straight into, the meat grinder, or dealing with tough situations. I mean, if you can afford to deal with easier environments, or let's just say, higher socioeconomic environments, that that the better it is for you. I mean, you know, obviously you got to scale, right? You know, some people have to scale. I'm unfortunately for me, I have to scale. Now the thing is, for you may not have to do that. You might already have the resources or whatever, or access to resources. Well, the thing is that you look at where you are, or where you trying to be, and you learn what you can about business first. Don't just jump into no business. You got to learn. You got to go get you a mentor. Start watching some videos. Get you a mentor. I can, I can bridge the gap for you. I can help you out. You know, on my website, I have consultations. I can answer some questions for you, or you can go to someone else. Instagram is a lot of information. A lot of people on Instagram. There's business coaches, stuff like that. Um, could go, look up business consulting. It's a lot of people that are into that. You got a lot of books on business. Um, it's a book called The Hard Things of Hard Things. Write it down. The hard things about hard things. And it talks about, I forgot the guy that wrote it. I think it was Horowitz or something like that. But it basically talks about how to scale a startup. How to scale a startup. Um, it's a lot of books on startups and businesses, and it's a ton of information out there, old and new, about business. Sit down and do the research. And once you do the research, you don't even really have to have the funding. You could go to the Small Business Administration, SBA.gov, and and you can get a business loan to start a business. They give you all the prerequisites on SBA.gov. I think you possibly need maybe a business plan or something like that. Whatever they require, you can go on there and apply for some type of business loan. You want to start some type of coffee shop or something, a smoke shop, whatever you want to start, you can get a business loan on SBA.gov. Um, you got private companies that can give you business loans as well. That's not government backed or whatever. So it's a lot of options. It's not easy. It's very, very difficult because if you're a bad employee, I'll say this: if you're a bad employee, probably not going to be a good businessman. Um, or you might be a good businessman because some people, like my friend of mine, he used to sell like body oils in Chicago. It's like a big thing selling body oil, shea butter, black soap, um, incense, stuff like that. Like he used to sell that stuff. Like he started off selling in a nightclub. He used to be in the bathroom, like in Morocco. They have a person in the bathroom. Like you gotta pay. I think this is from what I heard. You gotta pay to use the bathroom in Morocco. You know, and what they do is they give you some fragrances on your hands. Give you some like smell good stuff, and he literally. I kid you not. I can't make it's just crazy, right? My friend used to sell oils in the bathroom. He on some Moroccan style shit, and he took that and then went to the flea market. Then went to and then he used to sell on the street, and then he scaled that shit all the way up to having a big ass store. At his pinnacle, he had a store that had two stores. His actual commercial store that he rented, it had an underground warehouse and another store that was attached to it. You know, I was telling them, man, you got to get it. You got to buy a building. Can't rent. You renting too much. He was renting a house and a store at the same time. I was like, man, you can't be doing all like this. Rent is going to absolutely consume you. And yeah, ultimately it did. But yeah, he used to make a lot of money doing that. He used to make way more money than me. Like he used to probably do like he probably did like 10 times what I was doing selling computers because my business was across the street. That was his old shop that he rented out. And it was just local business, retail mortar store, brick and mortar store business. I mean, starting from a low, like me, I started from my grandmother's basement, and I went to the flea market and then went to open a store. But um, you're supposed to do that and then grow that all the way to a multinational company or corporate, national company that has warehouses all throughout the country, has distribution centers, retail stores, robust online store. And then you got a corporation and you publicly traded. That's how that's supposed to go when it's really, really successful. Or you just stay private. Like Little Caesars. Little Caesars is not a publicly traded company. It's a private company. It's not publicly traded. So that's how that's supposed to go. Go to small business, kind of like it kind of starts like this. This is how this shit goes. You start in System D. When I was in my grandma's basement, no, I was not fully legit. Okay. Working in a flea market, no, you're not fully legit. You're not collecting taxes in the flea market. I'm just, I hate to bust everybody's hustle, but that's not going down in the flea market. Now, if you taking credit card payments, yeah, you gotta file that. That's why some people don't take credit card payments, because they're in System D. Some businesses, it's restaurants that I know of. I'm not gonna dime them out, but they don't take no credit cards, and I know why they don't take credit cards. And the thing is you work your way from System D to kind of between self-employed and business, but you're more self-employed because, yeah, you kind of, it's a difference because, see, self-employed means that you're doing everything. At one particular time, I was able to pay some people cash under the table, like System D, to like kind of run my business, a little bit, to help me run my business. But I tinkered toward that business line, but the business owner line, or this like quadrant here, is when you have your business running with you not actually being there. You're out of the business. Like, you could be at home, the business is still running. The business is like a machine, and it's running on its own. That's when you have a business, because a business is actually just a system. People think business, but they don't understand that it's actually a system. That is actually what makes the business, the actual system, actually how it runs, how it formulates, how it makes money, everything, all of the product flows, all of the actual business flow of your business is that system, and it runs no matter if you're there or not. You might have some type of big puzzle piece to play in that, but technically you can retire, you can make someone else the CEO, and that business is still running, like Microsoft, like Amazon. It's an actual system. It runs independent of you know being the founder, or the one that started the company or whatever. That's how you have a business. So anyway, I've said quite a bit. I have some work to do later today, and hope you can you know try to get some of this message, and um definitely try to just do better, try to think better. You don't get anything from this channel, try to think better and do better.
You got to start looking at your life. It ain't about going to church or mosque or synagogue or hanging on the corner. You got to be a lot more responsible for the life that God gave you than what you're showing right now. Or you're going to pay a price for wasting God's life. He didn't bring you here for you to waste your life away in foolishness. All the gifts and talents that are buried within yourself that you know are there, and you won't use your gifts, use your talent, make excuses for yourself. You won't be an example for your children or for your community. You got to pay for that.